Uncertainty in the markets temporarily relieved as Chinese markets opened green. Has Bitcoin definitively put in a bottom in the high $39,000 range? And what level do we need to break to confirm a reversal after being in a downtrend for over 2 weeks since September 7th? But like an abusive husband who has had one too many alcoholic beverages, Gary Gobstopper is about to force his will on the crypto space. And what will that mean specifically for coins like Ethereum and Cardano? And with only 5 days left until a September 27th geriatric vote on what will affect crypto bigly, what could this mean? I'm your host, Ricky Rubdown, and it looks as though Gary Girth is about to give us crypto holders a rubdown we haven't asked for, if you know what I mean. Absolutely huge. So we're going to be taking a look at that. We're going to be taking a look at the infrastructure bill. Is this whole Evergrande situation remedied? We're also going to be looking at a few other charts, on-chain charts as well, and some other things, because a lot of people aren't really worried about Bitcoin too much when it comes to this bill, but more things like Ethereum and Cardano. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn on these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. And as well, after less than 2 weeks, we are already minting and have over 2 million USD in the pool for our ADA pool here with only a 2% margin, meaning more share of the rewards go to you, 5% APY. You can pull it out whenever you want. And with the new epoch starting in just moments, we're really going to be picking up our minting after our current active stake gets activated, because it does take about 10 days to take effect, but we are absolutely looking very good. And within the next few days, it's about to get very big. But without any further ado, let's dump it. Wow, so we have so many things to be jumping into, but I will start with this because we've been covering it for the last few days. So we do have a little bit of time extended onto this. Evergrande's debt isn't due for like another 30 days anyway. It seems as though Evergrande has reached a temporary solution. However, another big Chinese property developer is facing a ticking clock as well. So again, this whole thing will be happening slowly, as a lot of people already know, but it looks as though this very second, at least, we can take a deep breath and focus on some of the other big things that we covered in yesterday's video, because there's a lot going on. Specifically, I think one of the biggest, obviously, is the coming regulation in the US. And so we absolutely need to be prepared for that. The infrastructure bill as well will be voted on here in the House, I believe, in just a few days here on September 27th deadline here. But before we even talk about this, I've been mentioning this at the end of like the last 2 or 3 videos. About like 95% of my capital is in crypto, right? I'm in crypto. In fact, I have about 100,000 ADA that I'm currently staking in the pool, and just obviously, you know, all my Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then all of my other altcoin positions as well. So I'm extremely bullish on crypto. We absolutely have to be very aware of everything going on right now. And specifically, I am actually excited today about talking about Bitcoin price, because there's a lot of technical levels that we can take a look at as well. But if we start here, SEC Chair Gary Gensler said he doesn't see long-term viability for thousands of cryptos, likening them to wildcat banking area before federal regulation. Basically, what they're saying is, I don't think there's a long-term viability for 5,000 or 6,000 private forms of money, because there's a couple thousand cryptocurrencies, right? So in the meantime, I think it's worthwhile to have an investor protection regime. All that translates to is regulation. And now, what does this mean for some of your top cryptos, some of your favorite cryptos? It could mean something that you absolutely do not want. And again, people are complaining about certain things, you know, whether it's leverage or this and that, certain things that are in the market now. Those things most likely will absolutely go away. And a lot of the things you don't like will go away, but then a lot of the things you might actually like as well will go away. So regulation is absolutely a double-edged sword. At the end of the day, it doesn't even matter, because regulation is going to come. It was always going to come. We would be kidding ourselves if we were to pretend that we were never going to see increased regulation with cryptocurrency. That's obviously not the case. Long term, it could be very good for crypto. Short term, and even long term, it could be bad as well. So that's why we have to tread carefully, and we have to really follow this and make sure we're not ignoring it, because we do not want to have all of this happen right under our noses without us even attempting to have a say, right? We most likely will not have much of a say, but the more we know and the more we can at least learn about it, then the better for everyone. And Max Keiser is obviously a Bitcoin maximalist. In fact, his name on Twitter is Bitcoin Maximalist. But basically, it talks here about Gensler being very educated on Bitcoin, being very educated on blockchain. In fact, he taught classes at MIT on blockchain. And Jim Bianco goes on here about everyone being excited about that because he understands crypto. But it turns out maybe he does not have that big of a favorable view. And he sees Bitcoin as a giant scam and all cryptos as a giant scam. And Max Keiser obviously is saying here that's false. He understands Bitcoin, but he wants to destroy everything else. And again, I think it's kind of wild that a Bitcoin maximalist is cheering on the government to squash freedom. It just, to me, I mean, isn't that kind of it goes against everything crypto is about? So people like this, I don't think are good for this space, right? I mean, it's somebody who's basically saying Bitcoin is the only thing that deserves to exist, and all other innovation, all other technology, even though a lot of it is scam, obviously, with any new sector, a lot of stuff is complete garbage. I would say 99% of cryptos are garbage, but what about that 1%? Okay, what about those few cryptocurrencies that are not garbage? Should we just absolutely destroy them and be okay with governments destroying them as well? I don't know. I feel like that goes against freedom. I feel like it goes against innovation. I feel like it goes against cryptocurrency. And so maybe let me know your thoughts below. But basically, all he's saying is here, Bitcoin will be fine. Again, this is just his opinion, so this is essentially meaningless. But he says here, Bitcoin will be fine, but everything else is going to get heavily regulated, and he says they're all unregistered securities. Again, the bias here is unreal, and the space would be better, I think, without this. And as well, I just want to briefly look at the stock to flow model, because at this point, if we're going to do anything like we've done in previous cycles, we really need to get a move on. Like, Bitcoin really needs to start pumping here. We're running out of time in terms of these 4-year cycles, because keep in mind, if a cycle would extend, how does that affect a bear market then? Okay, because if we're within these 4-year parameters, and a third of it is the bull run, a third of it is a bear market, and a third of it is like accumulation phase. But at this point, if we're pushing that out to where the bull run gets extended to half or even 2/3, how does a bear market fit into that? Okay, I think that's a question a lot of people are kind of wondering. And the point is here, we are really running out of time, because if this stock to flow model is going to be validated at all, then we really need to see a top of this cycle soon. Or again, a lot of people have been saying we've already seen the top. And if you look at like the Pi cycle top as well, that's one thing they've been using. But realistically, if Bitcoin is going to get bullish, it has to very, very, very soon. It needs to really do something soon here. And again, that's going to play into these charts, which we're going to be looking at into a second. But as well, the hash rate, obviously we saw the crash back in June. It is actually coming along very nicely here, right? As miners turn back on, that's good. That's another good sign here. And the one other piece of news clearly is just that the September 27th deadline for this infrastructure bill everybody's been waiting for is big, because it has huge ramifications for cryptocurrency, the whole ecosystem. And as well, there's always a looming threat of the government shutting down at the end of the month and raising the nation's borrowing limit in the coming weeks. So there's really so many things going on here. And again, we can't live in a bubble. Bitcoin does not exist in a vacuum. I'm glad when I see people saying that as well. Some people will just say that it's just crypto and nothing else, but no, everything can be affected by these decisions that are going to be coming to completion really within just a few weeks. We have limited time frames for so many different things going on. And so with that, Bitcoin itself has had a little bit of a move. We went all the way down to about 39,600 during the crash, the move yesterday. And currently we have gotten a bounce exactly at this golden level that we've just had on here forever. This is big for a lot of reasons. I mean, I absolutely 100%, there was almost a guarantee we were going to at least bounce here. But does that mean that the drop is done? Because that's the bigger question. So before we do that as well, I mean, obviously this is big for another reason. This is the 21-week moving average, where we actually went significantly below it. It sits right around 42,000. We went all the way down to the $39,000 range. We bounced here, so that's good. Obviously, we needed that. If we didn't bounce there, I mean, that's a horrible sign. Even if we continue down, we were going to bounce here. Okay, that was pretty much guaranteed anyway. And with that as well, same story here. This was first major resistance of this bull cycle, and then as well the major resistance from our initial crash where we tried to bounce, and then major resistance here as well as we were trying to get back above here, and now it's where we're bouncing, and it's 40,000 US dollars. So gigantic level in every single way. We needed to bounce here, and we did. So that's good. It's also a long-term Fibonacci retracement level. So realistically, again, it had to bounce here. It was going to bounce here. But so far, that doesn't mean anything yet. So how's Bitcoin actually looking? Well, we're below the 21-day, the 200-day, the 50-day. The 21 is about to cross over the 50-day moving average, which is typically a bearish sign, although we did get a bullish cross here, and obviously we have not seen anything play out bullishly since then. Okay, so we could easily as well just discount this also. But realistically, this is just not a great position that we want to be in. What level do we have to look at to get above before we can take a real sigh of relief? Well, it would be this next channel here, or this next horizontal level of support, which, well, I mean, we actually would even want to get above 45,000. So right now we're at 43. We need to get at least above 45,000 for anything even remotely bullish in the short term. Okay, and that could easily also be a level where we get rejected. In fact, that would be the big level where we would get rejected because that's such a big area of previous support that we have fallen below. So again, this isn't my opinion. This is literally just the data. So if Bitcoin's above the 21 week, that's technically good. Okay. However, we have just plummeted below it. We've gotten a bounce, which is absolutely almost guaranteed. Okay. There's nothing guaranteed in crypto, but if there's anything close to being guaranteed, it would be bouncing at least a little bit on some of the most massive and confluent levels of support, with not only the horizontal support, but just the biggest moving averages in crypto, obviously. So overall, short term, this does not look bullish. Okay, short term, it doesn't look bullish, which is why I'm a little concerned. Again, it hurts my soul not to be bullish. I'm an absolute moon boy. But looking at this chart, objectively, it would be silly to say that this is a very bullish setup right here. It's not. It could turn into one, but we would need to breach above 50 or 45,000 US dollars at the minimum and then hold that. So it would look something like this. And then hold this at the minimum, okay? Then at that point we can think, okay, maybe it's not too bad. But at this point, yeah, I mean, we still have to cover a couple thousand US dollars with Bitcoin's price before that's the case. And as well, the alts are just bouncing similarly. They're not looking great. Ethereum bounced at the 200-day moving average. ADA is below the 50 and 21. And yeah, its 200 is actually significantly lower, about $1.60. So it is not in a horrible spot here. But yeah, the big thing is, Gary Gensler, he most likely will be specifically coming after coins like Ethereum and like Cardano. I don't think Bitcoin is necessarily in their sights too much. And take that information and do with it what you will, because if they're going to regulate crypto, and Bitcoin will be affected most likely, but if they're largely going to be looking at things that are not Bitcoin, like DeFi, I think you know what that means. But as well, we are seeing a bounce with the SPX today. I mean, again, it was guaranteed. Like whenever you have big drops, no matter what happens, there's always a bounce. That's the point of a dead cat bounce. Is this a dead cat bounce? Hard to say, but there's nothing to indicate just yet that it's not. Okay. Like I said, if we would be able to breach back above this level here of about 45 and I mean more realistically 46,000, then we could say, okay, maybe this is not a dead cat bounce. But until then, it's anyone's guess. There's absolutely zero actual confirmation yet because it's too early. We've just had a 2-day pretty big drop. I mean, over the last 2 days, we've dropped almost 20% in 2 days, and now we're up like 8%, 9%. So if you need an example of this, every time there's a drop, there is always a bounce, but that doesn't mean anything yet. It's still a little too early to say this is bullish. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn these absolutely time-sensitive alerts, and as well, if you're interested in staking with our pool, absolutely very big for us. We had our first mint, I believe it was yesterday, and yeah, we're just in a much better position in terms of saturation with everything as well, and that 2% margin I think is very attractive for a lot of people because it means that the people that are delegating to the pool are getting more of the reward than the SPO. But without any further ado, that's it for me. Bye-bye.